of the 4 rounds. There's 4 rounds. We had one in Atlanta. Here we are at a new venue, a new destination for us. We're back in the Midwest. Nellyville. I feel like, you know, you have to sing a Nelly song by, you know, by restriction. They have to sing a Nelly song going down, down, baby, low street in a drift car. So I'm Jared Deanda, Ryan Sage. Here we are again, Ryan. Round 6 of the overall 2018 Pro Championship, but Pro 2, today's qualifying.
Yeah, and I believe we have a car up all ready to go, so it's time to send it off here as our first car heads up. I believe this is Stefan Sajic here.
No, it is not. This is not Stefan Sajic. This should be Sean Adriano. Sean Adriano, this is his Pro 2 debut. Gets into the dirt. You see him dancing and flirting with the course edge. Throws up some dirt in this camo-colored Achilles radial. Boost Brigade. Again, this Achilles tire, Design Craft Fab. He works on Michael S.'s team, and that was Sean Adriano. Sean Adriano, again, that was a scratch on Stefan Sajic, who we were initially supposed to see, Ryan. And also, we're going to be breaking down the course throughout qualifying here.
Yeah, when we came into this venue, we actually only had it as one turn, and we really wanted to try to extend it out into those S's, and so we've been able to do that and make some changes to the way that we rolled vehicles in. And it has obviously added a lot to the track. It's got 2 inside clips, a touch and go, a 3rd inside clip as we reach into this big sweeping arc here, then an outside zone and a final inside clip. So you'll see there's the start line there, and then a pretty good sized run up into the first turn, which is going to make, I think, for some really good tandem. But it is a fast course. There was some concern about tire wear, and we have made a few little adjustments here. But as we get into tonight's competition and into tomorrow, we'll really give you a solid breakdown of all the things that are happening on and off course, and especially with where we are in competition for the Pro 2 Championship as well as the Pro Championship.
Yeah, and also let it be known that, again, round 2 of round 4, the remaining rounds, Texas, Irwindale, as well as maybe break down what Pro 2 is in comparison to the Pro Championship that we're going into tomorrow and then eventually into Saturday.
Yeah, so we've got 4 rounds of the Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship, and this is the first year that we've actually been broadcasting their qualifying live out to the internet. And in order to get them as much exposure as we possibly can, help those guys grow into their programs. We've seen the Pro 2 guys. This is probably the best Pro 2 season that we've seen so far in terms of competition and guys that are dialing in their programs. And so today, basically, they're competing for only 16 spots, unlike the 32 in the Pro Championship, only 16 spots for tomorrow's competition into the head-to-head matchups.
Yeah, with around 30 cars. So a lot of, drivers, a lot of them come from California. A lot of the drivers working or previously worked with, a lot of the pro teams, either mechanics or technicians or, different roles in the Pro Championship and on those specific teams. So them kind of jumping over behind the wheel, this is a good opportunity for them to kind of highlight and showcase their ability behind the wheel. So as we are awaiting Sean Adriano's score, our first driver, his Pro 2 debut in that Achilles tire, Boost Brigade, Gretty Performance, Design Craft Fab S13. Great looking car. I'm always a sucker for some camouflage, and it's a great looking car. So as we await Sean's score, it should be coming in here momentarily, and we'll break down this course. Ryan, one of the big things here, and there's Sean's score. He gets a 72, so that's a 72 for Sean Adriano. So a 72 for our first driver. Next up will be Raz Noor, who's from Granada Hills, California. He's actually originally from Israel, from what I understand, and he's driving a unique vehicle. It's traditionally all-wheel drive, but it's a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. So we've seen those swaps popular in Japan and even here in the States between some Subarus and some Mitsubishi Evos. Kumakobo making the Mitsubishi Evo swap popular back in the day. And now here we go into that first front clip, transitioning into the second front clip. So you can see off it quite a bit, keeping it fluid. Now going through that straight line approach. Now coming into the big sweeper. Judge want to see them hanging out there. See a little bit of shimmying, but now locks it in. See some disruption there. Some of the Pro 2 drivers having a hard time keeping it out, but once they pass that yellow and orange cone, that is the point of no return.
Yeah, so take a look here. You can see we have this camera that's basically pointing down into the S-turn so that we can get a good shot of that. The judges really wanted to see the first and inside clip in terms of proximity there. And this will be a slightly different setup that we'll have tomorrow for the Pro qualifying and also for Pro 2 Top 16. We'll have a few more cameras over this huge course that you really have to cover things. But you can see here with Nor. A pretty good job starting off here. A 72 is our highest score, obviously, of our first run out with the scratch from Sajik, and was able to put together a solid run there, but really trying to make it into the top 32. We've seen usually if you're in the 80s, you'll get right in there into the top 16. We'll see where Nor slides in.
Well, you got to think, again, 30 drivers, so there's going to be quite a few hurt feelings here after today, watching from the sidelines tomorrow evening, going into Pro 2 head-to-head. So Casual Friday has moved to Casual Thursday now as well, as scores are in. That's a 63, so a 63 for Raz, a 63 for our second driver. Next up, Dustin Miles comes to us from Cartersville, Georgia. Annex Electric Company, Nexen Tire, S13. Miles GMP on Instagram. Definitely has that J aesthetic on the car, on his whole team and livery. And here we go. Nice job so far there by Dustin Miles. Really fluid. Throwing some more angle at it even there. And Ryan, maybe on this run, point out what is the front clipping points and what are the rear zones?
Yeah, so you really get a good look at it here. You see the 3-2-1, the traditional standard yellow cones, and then right there you got the first inside clip. Here's the second one. He was on about a midline there. And then as we stretch out here, you can see there's going to be an outside touch and go there, moving in right into that inside clip. And then right here he's going to pick up the outside zone. You see the red cone, long zone here as he starts to aim to drop off that zone and then hit this final inside clip right there through the finish line. And a lot of drivers are opting to throttle through the finish line and keep drifting. Now, the original finish line was actually much further down, but for the pro guys, after this morning's practice, there were quite a few guys that were having a really tough time making 2 laps. Some guys having a tough time getting through a single lap in their qualifying setup. So made some adjustments, made the course a little bit tighter, but didn't sacrifice the S's or a lot of the exciting parts, what we think will be for the head-to-head matchups tomorrow.
I was talking with James Dean, who's our defending champion, after their first practice session. He says that it's a very abrasive track. So not that it's long, but the track surface is very abrasive, so it's eating through the tires very quickly. So you got to imagine these guys hammering down. There's an 83 and 83, so Dustin Miles jumps to the pack, but we're only 3 drivers in. Dustin Miles and that Annex Electric Company, Nexen Tires, S13 from Cartersville, Georgia, with an 83. So next up should be Rodolfo Martinez. Texas Tires and Parts, Nexen Tire, 1JZ S13. Comes us from McAllen, Texas. And here we go. The Lone Star State. And I believe he's the lone Texan out here. Through the straight line. There's that touch and go. Tight to the front clip. You can hear him lifting, just massaging it to that outside zone, just locking it in. Is an opportunity to really show riding that line for Rodolfo Martinez. Again, from McAllen, Texas.
So you can see he gets a pretty good start here and initiates just right at that last standing cone. A little bit off that first inside clip, kind of a midline there through that second. Now as he comes out to this touch and go area, he's able to get pretty decently out there and a bit tighter on that inside clip that leads into that outer zone, trying to connect that as cleanly as possible. Tomorrow when we look at the track map, Jared, we'll lay down some of the areas that Ryan Lantane and the other judges have pointed out in terms of the decel area. There's only really 2 that we noticed in practice and that the drivers had pointed out and Ryan had slotted into that map. And obviously that plays a big role into head-to-head competition. But tomorrow as we break that down, we'll show you guys where all the points are being allocated for the pro qualifying. But for today, Rodolfo Martinez starts off with a pretty strong run.
It is a throttle down track. I mean, you are powering through all the way through as Rodolfo, Mr. Martinez gets a score of 74. That's a 74 for Rodolfo Martinez. Next up, this is his home track. He's from right here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're technically in Madison, Illinois, but Gateway Motorsports Park just behind us. Here in the announcer's booth, you can see the bridges, and of course, you can see the famous Gateway to the west, the St. Louis Arch. So, Andrew Lewis, this S13 Sylvia, ready to throw down. Andrew Lewis, a very aggressive driver. When he's on, he is just putting the car in all the right places. Some wavering there as he entered into that second front clip. Now tightens it up, blends right into that red clipping point. A lot of speed carried through. Speed no longer a factor, but just shows that that commitment, you know, the fluidity and the overall initiation, because, you know, yes, they're initiating on the first portion of the track, but also just overall just that amplitude.
Well, great early initiation there. You can see he just pings one of those cones. No harm, no foul. Nice transition there. He pulls a little bit of angle out of the car as he comes through that section of the course, but he does a pretty good job of getting out to that touch and go and hitting that inside clip. And I like the way that he links right there to that outer zone. Stays on throttle here, pushes all the way through, and very minor corrections, especially at the first part of the course and this last section of the course here where he closes up that last inside clip pretty nicely. So great job right there by Andrew Lewis kicking off his first run.
Let's take a look overall at the landscape, and this is how the course breaks down, Ryan.
Yeah, you can see here where the inside clips are on that first section of S's, the touch and go area, that third inside clip in that last outer zone. Obviously, the yellow areas of the course designate the line and angle points allocation, and the blue is where the style points are being allocated.
All right, there's an 80. So an 80 for Andrew Lewis on his first run. As Jonathan Hurst. All right, so as next up will be Jonathan Hurst in this Dynasty Infinity G37. Very loud, bright green G37 coming down. Good looking car. Let's see what Jonathan Hurst can do here. Good initiation. You see him get into that rumble strip, change the attitude of the car, but does not affect his line. Ripping past that final front. You can see enters a little bit late there on that big sweeper. Tightens it up. See, that's where some of the Pro 2 drivers are struggling, and it throws him off. And looked like it might have been after the finish line, but still that will affect his score overall.
Well, no doubt he had a pretty good start here. You can see nice early initiation right there at that second standing cone. He's tight on this first inside clip. Pretty good line here through that second inside clip with good angle. Now as he comes out to this outside touch and go and hits this inside clip, you can see he gets his setup into this outside zone on the middle line here. And this line is going to start sucking him in. He's going to get a little bit tight. He's going to have to pull some angle out of the car. And then right there you can see he goes off course before the finish line. And as we take a look here, watch, you'll see the front wheel is basically going to hit the rumble strip right there. He's a bit too tight, and then he's not able to actually finish through those last set of standing cones, which is the finish line.
All right, so it's not so much off course, but he had a big correction, just clarifying with the judges. So he straightened out completely, and it was after the finish line, but that was kind of beside the points. He completely straightened out before. So that will be an incomplete run there, unfortunately, for Jonathan Hurst on his first run. All right, next up we have Patrick Held, EOP Distributing, AEM, Fortunato, Nissan 240SX from Snohomish, Washington. Not too far from where we had our previous round of the Formula Drift Championship. All right, Patrick comes through the chicane, uses all the course. Big angle there, massive angle, comes in, lighten those necks and tires up. You can see, you can hear the car, a lot of lifting right now. Another scenario, it does manage to get it across the finish line in drift, but you, if you're here in the building, you can hear him kind of lift midway through that sweeper.
So here we go. Here's Held on the replay, Jared. I like the way that he aggressively initiates in here. You can see he pushes a little bit wide there on that first inside clip. The second one, he's a few feet off there, but great throttle control. You can see he's very busy in the vehicle. Watch the hands right here as he transitions back around. He's trying to shoot out wide, but he ends up going about middle high and then has to come in a bit tight right here. Then he starts to push out again, so could have done a little bit better in maximizing the line on that outside bank or the outside sweeper. But nonetheless, a decent start for him. We'll see where that puts him into the scoring positioning so far.
All right, Patrick awaiting his score. ELP Distributing, AEM, Fortunato. So Coro Works, a Nexen tire on the side of his S chassis. So currently right now, an 83 of Dustin Miles leads the pack. No, well. All right, so I'm just informed that's Garrett Denton in that Coro Works Nexen tire S14. And yeah. All right, so next up is Jeff Donati. Jeff Donati, Tuner Tools, Achilles Tire, Nissan S14 from Columbus, Ohio. I apologize to Garrett Denton, but that previous driver was Garrett Denton from Hope Valley. And now here we go with Jeff Donati. Jeff Donati passed that first front clip. You can hear the exhaust note consistent all the way through the chicane. Throw some dirt up in that touch and go. Past that final front clip. Locked and loaded, really lined it up. Consistent all the way through, powering about a middle line here. Ryan now works it to the outer portion. And there goes Jeff Donati.
Well, the sweeper playing a bit of a challenge for some of the drivers. Good start here for Donati. Pretty decent line through this section of turns here. Has to pull a little bit of angle out of the car as he tries to link this touch and go into this inside clip. Right here, he's going to try to position himself as best he can. He gets into the zone, but then immediately kind of comes off of it. Now, the end of the zone is right there, and you can see he starts to lose a little bit of forward momentum and is just able to barely keep it in drift. So the connection to that last inside clip, a bit of a struggle there for Donati, but it does look like a complete run overall. And we'll see where that slots him in for run number one.
All right, so Jeff Donati does have a full pull, and he had a very smooth, I mean, like it's, Ryan, would you agree? This is probably one of the fastest tracks we'll see. I mean, Texas is fast, but this just has a very good fluidity all the way through it. Yeah,
it's pretty much full throttle all the way through. There's basically 2 decel areas, and they're pretty minimal. So the guys have been feverishly working. I saw some of the interviews early on from today's practice, and most everybody says, look, we have to really get the gearing correct as we see Jeff Donati coming in at a 65, Jared. But yeah, the gearing really important. Peter Vincek was talking about if we're trying to maximize speed, but if we go too hardcore, we're not going to have enough tires. So it's really about trying to find a fine balance, equilibrium in the vehicle setup as best we possibly can, because we really don't see courses like this too often, and especially the track surface is very abrasive as well. So,
yeah, all those things equate to, again, ripping through tires really fast, and head-to-head, as you said, Ryan, should be exciting, but tire, basically saving your tires all the way till the end, that is going to be the key factor, especially in winning this event. Next up, Ricky Adams. Ricky Adams Racing, RTS Achilles, BMW. Some wavering there approaching, and here I'm kind of scrubbing some speed. Knocks over the initiation of that big sweeper. Ryan, all the way through as far as consistency, you could hear him hammering down, but just the wavering of the car here from Adams.
Well, maybe a throwaway here. Look at the initiation here. He doesn't really fully get to drift, almost a little bit of opposite drift there. You can tell he's really kind of struggling with the vehicle overall. Has a tough time keeping angle here through the center section. He has to tighten up not to hit that inside clip. And then, as you said, he just kind of boots that beginning cone of the outer zone. Not a major issue there, but you can see just not really the fluidity that you're looking for. He does get all the way through the run without giving a noticeable incomplete, but I want to see how the judges take a look at that initiation, and actually it does look like they are going to give him incomplete.
All right, so just getting some clarification from the judges. He initiated by the last standing clipping point, or sorry, the last by clipping point. Sorry, initiation point 1. It goes 3, 2, 1 cones, and he initiated after that number 1 standing cone. So Ryan, as you said, way late to it. Initiated basically wrapping it around that first front clip. Yeah, I mean, just a very late initiation. So unfortunately for Ricky Adams, that will be an incomplete run on a late initiation. Rob Carlson, he's very familiar with this track. Originally from Eden, Utah. Millennium Motorsports, Achilles tire, S14. And here comes Carlson into naked eye view of the judges. Past that front clip as he comes in the sweeper. Kind of takes a very unique line, goes in to out. And Rob Carlson, we've seen him drift all over the U.S., and here he is at Gateway Motorsports Park.
Well, it's a big applause for Rob here, trying that huge initiation, but a big mistake there through that first inside clip. If it's not an incomplete, it's going to be a really low score. It'll probably be a throwaway for Rob. You have to give him some credit there for really pushing the limits on run number 1 strategically, trying to go out and lay down a huge, massive initiation, but not able to quite pull it off. And you can see here that he does have the driving skill and the ability. He just took a big risk there, and it didn't pay off for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you bet, sometimes you're going to get burnt. And unfortunately for Rob Carlson, he's going to have to rely on his second run, and that will be an incomplete run. So a few incomplete runs here in a row from Ricky Adams and now Rob Carlson. He's only human. Rahimi, Achilles tire, Nissan 350Z. Let's see how Mr. Rahimi throws down. All right, so Human Rahimi. I mean, these guys, some of them are coming in triple digits into that zone, past the front clip. Rahimi, about half a car length off of that front clip. Gets out to the touch and go. Big angle past that front. Might have been a good opportunity for him to scrub some speed, but this is where you need that wheel speed to get you through the sweeper, and works it out to in past that finish line. Human Rahimi in his 350Z.
So good pull here for Human. You can see here as he comes down into initiation, he gets it nice and early right at that third standing cone. Does a great job getting those front wheels, especially in that first inside clip. You can see that it's elevated there, and it gets really tricky if you get too tight. On the second inside clip, he was a little bit far off, as well as that touch and go in the third inside clip. So he's kind of taking a really conservative line here, but he's also able to tell from the drivers that have gone before him that the highest score is an 83 so far. So he has a good opportunity here to get a nice score to start off and then build on that for run number 2.
All right, Human Rahimi's score is 77, a 77 on his first run. You can see it puts him into a number 3 position. Just want to lock in that top 16 and solidify yourself in tomorrow's Pro 2 head-to-head, round 2 of this Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. Drivers coming all the way from, not only from Norway, our current points leader, Ulla Jaeger, but right now, George Kirakopoulos, Nissan 370Z. Speaking of Link Engine Management, it is on the door, and some shimming there around that second front point. Having some issues here from George K, but now it seems like he is tightening it up in the sweeper. Almost straightening out there, but does salvage it and brings it back out. Ryan, walk us through this again here. Like I said, George on that second clip had some wavering.
Well, you can see as he comes into initiation, he basically gets a nice snap there on initiation. He gets a little bit tight on that first inside clip, and as he snaps it back, he has to pull some angle out of the car. So he'll get a little bit of mistake there on the angle side of things. The line that he's drawing is pretty good. You can see he's pretty tight on that inside clip as he moves out into this outside zone here. He starts off mid-high, tries to stay as deep as he can. Now he should be starting to pull off and reach down into this final inside clip here, which he does a good job there. So for George, that one mistake on inside clip 2 is where the deductions will come from him. But overall, he'll have a scored run.
Simply known as George K, George Karakopoulos. Awaits a score, and we are seeing some scores come in different categories, different sections from different judges, line, angle, and style. And there is a 62 for George Karakopoulos. Next up, Brandon Schmidt, Mass Motorsports, Achilles Tire S13 from Lake Stevens, Washington. Or no, sorry. Next up will be Alec Robbins. I apologize. Alec Robbins, got a little ahead of myself. Alec Robbins from Becker, Minnesota. Coro Works, Achilles Tire, Nissan 350Z, Alec Robbins. As Mr. Robbins leaves the start line. Robbins formerly drifted in a truck. Now campaigning the Z for a couple of years. Out front, into the sweeper. And Robbins rounds it out. Alec Robbins awaits his score.
So let's take a look here at Robbins again. He gets initiation right at that second standing cone. He goes a little bit long on that first inside clip, and you can see he's just a bit off there on that second as well, so may need to adjust on his second run. Now he gets a nice line through that touch and go, but he again a little bit wide on that inside clip, and you can see middle as he enters that big outer zone, comes off there, just gets a bit on the inside as he leaves that outer zone. But overall, good pull for him, and he'll have a scored run to work on. We'll see where that slots him in to the top 32 drivers.
Different smokes for different folks as far as tightening up his line, and Alec Robbins, let's see what he can do here on his second run as he awaits the score on his first run. And scores are coming in. And Alec Robbins receives a 56, so not the best score. Puts him in 10th, and but you got to think that we have 18 more drivers left. 18 more drivers left. So the remaining 18 drivers have still 2 runs in their back pocket. So now here is Brandon Schmidt, Mass Motorsports, Achilles Tire S13 from Lake Stevens, Washington. Got a new livery setup between round 1 and here, but still a lot of horsepower under the hood. Mass Motorsports, an engine option for, and an engine of choice for a few different drivers, including Christos Blush, who campaigns in the Pro Championship. As Brandon really hitting those, it looks like he's having some issues here. Not as much angles we've seen from previous drivers. Big correction there from Schmidt, and that will unfortunately will be a goose egg, so an incomplete run there for Brandon Schmidt. Unfortunate for Schmidt. Right from the bat, Ryan, does not seem 100%.
Yeah, it looks like some vehicle issues for him. Some gremlins he'll have to work out for run number 2. Just not able to get the vehicle to get sideways here, and then right about that point where he induces drift on his own, the car does not cooperate, and he's not able to finish the run. So he'll have an incomplete on run number 1. And try to move back to the pre-grid, figure out what's going on, and try it again for number 2.
Next up, Ryan, always a fun name to say, Brody Goble. Brody Goble, here from Vancouver, BC. Rocks the maple leaf on his suit, and on his livery, Frankenstein Speed and Custom, Achilles Radial S14.75 is what he's claiming. All right, here comes Brody Goble. Past that front clip, gets into the rumble using all of the course. Brody kind of a straight line into that touch and go now in that front clip. Transitions. See the front wheels wavering a little bit. You can see him lock up the brakes, working all of it. And the attitude of the car getting up, popping a wheelie. Ryan?
Well, Brody is a veteran, solid driver here. You can see very confident as he approaches, gets right to angle. Nice job on that first inside clip. He's drawing a great line here. Has a little bit of adjustment as he gets up onto those bumps there, and he was able to keep it tight, make it look clean. Leaves the outside zone right around the right time. Little bit tight right there, but is able to save it overall. So the first half of the course, you can see, watch this, as he goes up on the rumble strips right there, you can see just how elevated those things are. And as he hits the second one, it kind of puts him offline a little bit for a second, or moves the vehicle, but he's able to make it look really solid and stay aggressive as he moves towards that touch and go area and the final outside zone. So nice job by Brody.
And Brody's scores are coming in. All right, so Goble, his score coming in and hitting the screen now. 71, a 71 for Brody Goble on his first run, puts him into 7th position. Next up, coming all the way from Vallejo, California, home of E40 and Crick Phillippi. Fitzgerald glider kits, Nexen tire, S13. And Crick had some words with him before practice, and he said he messed up in Atlanta, had a line break on him, replaced it, it caught fire, so he's ready to have some fun out here and put on a show here in his turbocharged LS under the hood of his S13. Here we go, Crick Phillippi. Into that first front clip, gets all of that rumble strip. As we saw, Brody Goble throws him out of shape. So way off that second front clip, now transitions into that final front clip. Again, really getting to know those rumbles. Fortunately, they're not gator strips and they're not textured like Atlanta. They're very smooth, but they are larger.
And Jared, just talking to the judges to get some confirmation on the exact language that they use in the drivers' meeting. They'd prefer that you don't go up on the rumble strips, but it's not a negative as long as the vehicle attitude doesn't change. And you can see the vehicle attitude did change there a little bit. And Brian Eggert has been giving some deductions for that in particular. So getting way up there, it can be problematic, but it's not necessary. They'd like for you to just stay on the bottom of the course and try to ride it as smoothly as possible, make it look as smoothly as possible. So you see Crick there had a problem with that first section. As we center in on it here, you can see he goes way up and he gets right on the grass almost. And as he transitions back down off, he's going to be way offline there. So you can see how problematic that it can be if you don't get your line just right through those S sections. Yeah, and I said that it wasn't textured. Let me correct by saying that it's smooth on kind of the 45-degree angle, but once you get on the top of it, it's definitely ridged, but it's not stepped like Atlanta. You know, going up that hill in Atlanta or coming back, it's stepped very large. Here, it's not as aggressive, but it does change the attitude of the car, and eventually it'll change the attitude of your line, and it will change the attitude of your score. So the results are in for Crick Phillippi, as there it is, a 61 for Crick, puts him into 11th position. But hopefully, again, takes that into account. His spawner giving him some words and let him know, again, if you just set your tire into that crease where the black asphalt meets the red and white, your bumper's just going to kind of drag along that and scrape, and that's where ideally the judges want to see you put the car. Next up, Adam Knappich. Adam Knappich from Westminster, California. Knappich Racing, Achilles tire, S14. He's running the supercharged LS, the Edelbrock supercharger, so you can hear it whine through the course. Throws out some dirt. Really uncorked here. Really hammering through that sweeper. Ryan, I want to take a look at this again. Well, a pretty decent conservative start here. Nothing super over the top, but you know, he kind of basically did what he needed to do on that first run and left some room to grow here. You can see not a lot of angle through that second inside clip. He also was off a little bit, dropped the tire right there, but nice and tight on that first inside clip. Conservative approach into this outside sweeper here. He was on a mid-high line, but the way that he connected from leaving that zone into that inside clip was pretty smooth. So we haven't seen scores go super high, Jared. We've seen him the highest 83. We've got one other 80 here. And as you can see, as we look at Knappich, he was able to hit that inside clip before he transitioned. It's just a very rolling into it transition into that final sweeper. So probably not going to be a super high score, but he's going to have something to build on for run number 2.
A great choice of words there, just basically just easing it in there on that sweeping turn, excuse me. But a 74, still a great score, puts him into 4th position. Next up, another Canadian, a Quebecer, Sebastien Gauthier. This high-vis orange Magicolor, SSG, Nexen tires, S chassis, can't miss it. Again, Sebastien Gauthier. All right, and we are clear to send. The course is clear. Beautiful day out here at Gateway Motorsports Park, again for the first time ever at this venue, but back here in the Midwest as Gauthier initiates. A wide swing, but tightens it up to both front clips. Out to the touch and go. Well done. Really setting the course ablaze. Can't see the back half of the car. Massive angle from Gauthier. Brings it through the finish line. Very fluid, Ryan. Again, the top scorer right now, Dustin Miles with an 83. Ryan?
So yeah, another conservative, but still a nice run to build off of. You can see that slow roll into initiation, nothing super or over aggressive. Trying to connect those 2 turns, was a little bit off that second inside clip, but you can see how smooth he is here through this section of the course. Transition slowly, but then put some angle in the vehicle. He's on that mid-high line, entering that outside zone. And then right here, as he leaves the zone, you can see fluid line being drawn into that final inside clip, trying not to get up on those rumble strips, which he avoids. So we saw the 74 from Knappich. I have to imagine it's going to be in that range, maybe a little bit better potentially, but a good start there for Gauthier.
And so Sebastien Gauthier, his score is coming in 85. We have a new leader, so an 85 for Sebastien Gauthier. I was going to say I like the fluidity, and again, he scored 34 points overall in style, 17 on fluidity, 17 on commitment. So just very consistent. That was the first score to come in. So I did really like what Gauthier put down there. Did you like that, Ryan?
Yeah, no, I thought he did a great job just doing. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect run, but it was the best run that the judges have seen so far, and he understood exactly where the points are being allocated for line and angle and style.
Troy Manners, aka Squirt, is our next driver, as Troy Manners in this Neo Motorsports S14.5. Troy Manners from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Look at that thing just squatting away. And Squirt has done some great things over the years. Seen him drive at his home track in Pennsylvania, as well as Englishtown Raceway Park, but a very talented driver, Squirt.
You can see that initiation there, rolling through that second standing cone. The car kind of moving up and down, the suspension a little bit loose there. He was a bit wide on that second inside clip, and almost comes up a little bit tight here, but is able to avoid making contact with it. Tries to get a smooth and fluid transition into that outside zone. And then right about here, he's going to try to shoot down into that final inside clip, and just gets a little bit caught up there, a bit tight, but overall a decent pull for him and a good start to run number 1.
Also, let it be known, Trenton Beecham was to be before Troy Manners, the driver that just went, but Trenton Beecham has foregone his first run in that Roush Performance next entire Ford Mustang, so he will have an incomplete run on his first run. Hopefully he can get it together. I know him and his team were scrambling for a part, so I saw them in the pits during practice session, so hopefully they get it together, and we'll get a score on the board and hopefully see him in top 16. A talented driver. We've seen him at Long Beach, and here's Squirt's score, aka Troy Manners, a 66 for Troy Manners from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Punxsutawney famous for what, Ryan? Do you know what it's famous for? Groundhog Day. Hedgehog Day. Close. Close. Both hogs. Both hogs. But yeah, Punk's Tony Phil. Yeah, he's gonna go again right now. We just keep playing. He just keeps running. And Sonny and Cher just keeps playing as well. All right, here we go. Another driver coming from across the pond, Josh Robinson. And this is a Commodore. This is a Ute. Very unique vehicle. We don't have it here in the States. And now that we have a big old Josh Robinson to tell right now, Josh through that Holden Commodore into that big sweeper. Thing sounds absolutely uncorked here from Josh Robinson in that Winding Road Racing Nexen tire from Perth, Australia.
So let's take a look at this again. He initiates just right before that last standing cone, so he's going to get a full points on that for the initiation. You can see not a lot of angle there through that first and second inside clip. Here he's starting to get into it here nice and tight on that inside clip as he transitions midline going into that outside sweeper. Big throttle here, now moves off of that outside zone into the final inside clip and does that pretty well. Connects it smoothly there to finish up his run.
All right, Josh Robinson awaiting his score. All right, Josh Robinson's score is 79. A 79 for the big old boy from Perth. That's Josh Robinson. So we are less than 10 drivers now left. David Mesker up next. David Mesker, BC Racing Achilles Tire, S13. Okay, so Mesker coming through the chute. Little Manji entry into that first front clip, a wide swing around that. We'll see how he handles that. Really center of the course here. Classic aesthetic of that S13. Whoa, looks like he got a hiccup there, kind of hesitated towards that finish line. David Mesker.
So Mesker definitely going through the course super fast, but pays a bit of a price for it after initiation. Let's take a look at this again one more time, Jared. You can see really aggressive flick here, but way overshoots that first inside clip. And the second one, a bit better here, but watch as he stays in this middle line, tries to get out to that touch and go better here on this inside clip, but transitions right into the middle of the outside zone. He needs to be pushing out wider there in order to connect that outside zone. And then right there, because of that, he comes up a little bit tight into that final turn, narrowly losing drift there, but he's able to save it and salvage the run. And now it's in the judges' hands to lay down the score as we figure out where David Mesker will come in for run number one.
All right, results are in here for David Mesker. He is from St. Louis, Missouri, and it's a 59. A 59 here for Mesker. As next up from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Kenrick Meyer. He's got the BC Racing, Achilles Tire, BMW M3. He's got the LS under the hood. Talking to him about that 400 brake horsepower is what he's claiming. So not a lot, but he can handle it. All right, here comes Kenrick. Good placement of that BMW. Probably even with the Gonki. Like to see more angle from him as he approaches that touch and go. Now this is where the point of contention is with, by comparison, some of that horsepower. You can see not as much angle as some of the other drivers, but still really handling down there is Kenrick Meyer. as Kenrick takes a look at Ryan. Have at it. All right, so Kenrick, as you can see right here, you see some wavering to that touch and go, and then now into the sweeper. You see him throw some angle on it, take some out. Like I said, you can see those front wheels, not as much angle as some of the other drivers by comparison. Definitely puts the car in the right places. All right, so again, fluidity, commitment, both coming in, 27. And here are the scores coming in. So a good solid run here for Kenrick Meyer, 72. A 72 for Kenrick Meyer. You can see the scores are 24, 21 on angle. All right, next up, Kelsey Rawlings, the only female in competition, both in Pro Championship and Pro 2. Coming to us from Orlando, Florida. Ford power plant under the hood of her Top One oil, Achilles tire S14. And Achilles and Nexon, the official tires of Pro 2, are the only two options for Pro 2. And here comes Kelsey Rawlings. Initiates. Strong initiation. Throws her off for that second front flip, unfortunately. But wants to carry a lot of speed here. Final front flip. And now Kelsey. Oh, girl. Gets into the grass and does some landscaping. And shreds some tires. So, our Gateway Motorsports Park outside sweeper claims its first victim. Kelsey Rawlings goes into the grass and then eventually the tires.
Well, let's see what happens here, Jared. She gets a good start, pretty tight on that first inside clip, but way wide here on this second inside clip. And that line may have set her up for some problems. She was not able to fill that touch and go, but better job on that first inside clip. And this is the one that enters this outside zone. Now watch, she's gonna get deep here. And once she gets in that grass, there's pretty much nothing she can really do about it. It's a relatively mild hit, so it'll probably just be some cosmetic damage there, but nonetheless, you got to be very careful about dipping those left wheels on that outside sweeper into the grass. It's very slippery, and once you're off into that area, there's pretty much nothing stopping you until you get to that tire wall. So unfortunately for Kelsey, it'll be an incomplete on run number one, but clearly she had a good run to start off there. A couple things she could have cleaned up, but it would have very easily been a score that could have made it into the top 16.
Yeah, she was good all the way up until that point, and then she singed the grass, and that grass is very slick. We saw some drivers, including Christos Blush and Odi Bakshis, a few of the drivers get into that grass, and once you get in there, it is slick. Slip and slide, take it to the house, as we'll do some track cleanup here and continue on with Pro 2. As Ryan, you said, ideally just some cosmetic. Saw her carrying her bumpers earlier, and she said, hey, can't knock me for pushing hard. And it looks like she went for it once again, but unfortunately, the grass sucked her in. And we have 6 more drivers left for their first run. And then we'll start back at the bottom here for our Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. This is round 2 of 4. From every round here on out, including this one in Texas and Irwindale, we will see a Pro 2 round of competition. So not only, you know, last year at Irwindale, we didn't crown the Pro 2 champion. We crowned that in Texas, and Pro 2 didn't join us at Irwindale this year. They're coming back to the House of Drift.
Yeah, very exciting to have them for the final event of the year, and you know, it's a surprise to everybody to be going back to Irwindale. So great to have the Pro 2 family there along, and it'll be really interesting. It's kind of going to be a new Irwindale. A lot of things have changed there. If you haven't been there for Thursday Night Drift or seen the facilities, it's quite a different place.
I haven't been since October.
A lot of updates, a lot of changes, a lot of new pavement, and continuing to do new things.
Bathrooms. How are the bathrooms?
Audio systems. Oh, those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You going to be visiting?
Yeah, of course. No, I don't go to the bathroom.
No, you don't.
I don't use them at all. No.
You don't have your own private one there. Your own special one.
No, I wish.
Is Jared in the trailer?
I mean, if I get any form of, like, you know, star or, you know, hanging my jersey, I hope that I get a gold toilet.
A gold toilet.
Yeah, that'd be dope. So if you could
work that into your deal for next year.
This is Jared DeAnda's gold toilet. After 15 proud years servicing Formula Drift, this is what you receive. What would you want to be honored as a piece of memorabilia? Like, Ryan Sage, we're going to do this for you.
I don't know who's doing it.
The Formula Drift.
Nah, just a thumbs up, man.
Thumbs up. Good job. Boof. Here we go. Next up, Andy Haley, Haley Motorsports. Love this car, this BMW E30. Great looking car. Good gentleman. Big angle there from Haley. Is that too much? No, he unbounds it and throws it right back into the sweeper. You can hear him lift, massaging that car into that outside zone, and now gets back on throttle. Andy Haley throws it down.
If you're a fan of Andy Haley, and why would you not be, definitely go check out his social media. Had some fun things to talk about this past Monday. A really exciting announcement being made in terms of his vehicle being involved in a really popular video game. And here he is on track trying to get it done. Here was a bit wide on that second inside clip. Here through that third inside clip, much better, but you can see the momentum kind of slowed there, Jared, and he had to enter kind of mid-line through that outer zone. He was making a few little corrections there, trying to arc off this final turn, round off that final turn and keep it smooth. So a few mistakes there from Andy, but overall a complete run, and we'll see where that slots him in as we make our way to the last 5 drivers.
And there is Andy Haley's score, 69, dude. As Andy gets a 69, puts him into 12th position. 5 more drivers left. Riley Sexsmith in that NV Auto 2JZ, BRZ, Achilles Radial. Another Canadian, so we get 3 Canadians in the building. 3 Canadians walking in the Gateway Motorsports bar. And who's gonna come out on top? Again, right now, one of the Canadians leads the pack. That of Sebastian Gauthier, that high-vis orange S chassis. Here comes Sexsmith, smithing it up. See a little correction there. Ripping past that touch and go into the outer zone. Sexsmith definitely one to watch in Atlanta. Wants some redemption, wants to get on the box. And he is working hard for his money, so hard for it, honey.
Well, 85 is our highest score, as you mentioned, Jared, and you can tell the one thing that we see from Sexsmith is pretty much full commitment. Early initiation right at that third standing cone. He's a little bit late, but online there on that first inside clip. Could have done better at that second. See the aggression here as he flicks to that outside touch and go, just about a foot off that third inside clip, but you can see he takes a very aggressive approach to that outer zone. He enters very deep right there, and he stays committed, doesn't go off course, draws a nice line there through the finish line. And a solid run number 1 there for Riley Sexsmith.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. I said at 83 from Gauthier. That was at 85, as that is Haley's score there of a 69, awaiting Sexsmith's score. And waiting for Sexsmith's score here to come in, and there it is, an 88. Boom, takes the lead. So another Canadian, Canada 1 and 2 right now, with Sexsmith and Gauthier 1 and 2. So as I said, he was one to watch in Atlanta, and now here he is throwing down. All right, so we have 4 drivers left. Literally have Ryan Little next, Coro Works, Nexen Tires. Nissan Z from Riverside, California, claiming the formerly the 909, now the 951. All right, as you can see, we have a late entry here. These Dodge Caravans, the Stow and Go, the new hot rod in the Formula Drift paddock. Not only can you fit 6 people comfortably, but you also have auxiliary components. All right, Ryan Literal on the line, ready to shred it in the gold member CoralWorks 350Z. And any moment we will get Literal out here. CoralWorks, a shop operating out of just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. CoralWorks supporting quite a few Pro 2 drivers. And here we go. Ryan Literal, CoralWorks 350Z. Literal, big angle there. Now transitions into that second zone. Absolutely hammered down. Into that outer zone, you see him throw it in. Back some angle out of it, but hammers down. Big sweeping turn and leaves the smoke signal along the sweeper, Ryan.
Well, let's run it back and take a look here at Ryan Literal. Gets out of the gate pretty quickly there, initiates that second standing cone, bit wide on that first inside clip, tightening it back up, but pulling a tiny bit of angle out there. Beautiful job on this touch and go, stays really deep there, tight on that inside clip. Now coming into this final sweeper, he's on that mid-high line, pushing out there, trying to fill that zone as deeply as he can, and then a nice line being drawn, good arc there through that final inside clip. So the second half of the course, much better there for Ryan Literal. Good performance from him. Maybe just tighten it up on that first inside clip and still gets a solid score.
77 for Ryan Literal, puts him into 6th position. So a confident score for Mr. Literal. As next up, Travis Reeder. Travis Reeder, a contender for last year's 2017 Pro 2 Championship. Was just passed there in that last round of competition by Kevin Lawrence for K-Law to grab the 2017 championship of the Pro 2. But here comes Reeder from Vancouver, Washington. Reeder, you can see that big filter sticking out of the hood. That implies he's got a V8 under it. Reeder, whoa, gets into the rumble strip. Looked like it's maybe going to throw him off course. So Reeder fast through, but definitely wasn't the smoothest throughout.
Yeah, no doubt, very aggressive there, and was really threading the needle in a couple different spots. Let's take a look at it from the beginning. Rolls into this initiation. Great job on that first inside clip. Just a bit off there on that second. He's going to drop a bit of a tire here on that touch and go, but keeps it pretty fluid, but goes up onto the casing there right on that inside clip, and he caused him to have a little bit tiny of a mistake there as he enters into that final sweeper. But overall, a pretty good job on the first half of the course. Very aggressive run there. Let's take a look at this right up here. You can see just gets right up there on the grass. You can see bumping it up. So talked to Brian Eggert earlier, who's managing that section of the judging criteria, and he is giving some deductions for that. I'd like to see you stay down on the course and not get up there that high.
And that definitely could have been a lot worse. As Travis Reeder, his vehicle matches the bleachers here at Gateway Motorsports Park. That's very, I don't think it's coincidence. Results are in for Mr. Reeder, and it's a 72. So even with those mistakes, still has a decent score of 72. 2 more drivers left for their first qualifying runs. And Reeder, our previous driver, and this man, Dylan Hughes, the dozer, good friends off the track, but they've had to do battle in the past. Both of them from the PNW. Dylan Hughes from North Bend, Washington. He's in the Advanced Auto Parts Nexon Tire S13. Dylan brings it around that second clip. Flying through. Again, another line getting into the rumble strip. Wow, a lot of squealing from those tires, but held on to it really well. I was kind of nervous for him, but man, he was flying through that midsection.
Yeah, you could count the seconds that he was basically full throttle through that middle section of the course. Only thing here on initiation, you can see he just mistimes it a little bit, goes a little bit wide on that first inside clip. He's able to bring it back around. Now from this section of the course all the way through to probably about right here, he's pegged. And then he just lifts right there for a second to get into this outside zone, tries to draw a nice smooth line here. Another little tiny lift right there, then back on the throttle and through the finish line. So for Dylan, a little bit of an adjustment can be made on that inside clip, but overall very confident in his driving. You can see nice and tight there, doesn't get up too far onto the rumble strips, and makes it look pretty good through a number of sections on the course. And once again, our highest score so far is an 88. We'll see if that can break into the 80s, but if not, he still has one more run to go.
Scores are in here for the Dozer. Dylan Hughes, a 78. That's a 78 for Dr. Hughes. Last but not least, but I say that as a loaded response, as we will go to back to the bottom coming into this round of competition as far as the standings or newcomers like Sean Adriano. So Ulla Jaeger coming to us from Norway. This vehicle known lovingly as Chucky, the former vehicle of Formula Drift champion Frederick Osbo. Ulla Jaeger, Team Japan Auto Next and Tire Toyota Supra. Ulla comes in. He is current points leader in the Pro 2 Championship. Ulla, past the touch and go, flirts with the rumble strip and brings that Supra right to the edge where the grass meets the asphalt. Ulla Jaeger showing you why he's our current points leader. He had the win in Atlanta, and right now, a lot of confidence riding shotgun with him.
So Jaeger gets great timing on that first inside clip. You can see initiates tight right there on that first one, just a bit off on that second. So we're seeing guys either get one or the other, not both a lot of times. A little bit short on that touch and go, but tight on that inside clip. And then great job entering into that final outside zone. And right here, he's going to come off that zone, aim for that final inside clip and keep that angle nice and big through the final section of the course while drawing a smooth line. He seems to do that pretty well. So we'll see how the judges feel about our final driver here.
Ooh, and an 85. An 85. It does not take the lead away from that of Sexsmith. So Sexsmith is our current standing driver with an 88. So our current leader as far as qualifying, but every driver will have another qualifying run. Run 1 has come to an end. We'll go back to the beginning where we began with Sean Adriano, a Pro 2 rookie in that S13. So don't go anywhere. We'll take a short commercial break. When we come back, run 2 from our Pro 2 drivers and then link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship here at Gateway Motorsports Park in Madison, Illinois, just outside of St. Louis. When we come back, more Pro 2 qualifying. Welcome back here to Gateway Motorsports Park, and we are continuing with the second run for our Pro 2 drivers, the Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship Round 2. Our current points leader, or our current #1 qualifying run, is 88 by Riley Sexsmith. Riley Sexsmith currently 88. And backed up with another Canadian driver, a Quebecer, Sebastien Gauthier, and his Magicolor SSG Nexen tires, S chassis. So, Sean Adriano hit a 72 on his first run, comes to us from California. He works on Mike Essa's car, the Achilles Tire Boost Brigade Gretty Performance Parts. Again, I'm a sucker for camo. He's running a camo chassis and worked on by Design Craft Fab. How we doing, Gary? Gary, I hope you're watching back at home, crushing a Heineken right now, cheering on your boy, Sean Adriano. Sean, pass that first front clip. Again, this 2JZ powered, you see the front wheels with a minimal correction. Now transitions past the final front clip. Oh, buddy, gets into the dirt, and that's all four. Unfortunately for Adriano, he's gonna have to rest on a 72. He does re-enter the picture. I appreciate Sean not getting into the tires, slowing things down. Great looking car. So Sean keeps it clean, but he will have to rest on his first run, which is 72, Ryan.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's gonna just go off course there on that final turn. Let's take a look at this here. He starts off pretty strong. Great angle here through that center section. And then right here, he's gonna push out wide. Starts to drop that first tire. There goes the second one. And then from there on, it is pretty much hard to recover from that. Goes off course, but then makes it fun. He has angle in the car right here as he comes back on and still burning it up there, but it will be an incomplete. He'll have to hold with that 72. If I'm taking a look at his data correctly, that was 72 on his first run. Yep. So he still sits about mid-pack right now, 13th position overall.
All right, so that will be an incomplete run there for Sean Adriano. Raz Naor, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, on the start line. He had a 63 on his first run. You can see the current leaderboard: Sexsmith, Gauthier, Ula Yeager, that of Mr. Miles, and then Andrew Lewis. Those are our top 5 drivers. And Raz Naor come into the picture and better, a 63. Past that second front clip. You can see a middle line. You can hear me winding it out. As Raz, a big lift there towards the latter portion of that sweeper. So as far as fluidity, commitment, style coming in, Ryan, what say you?
Well, at current, he's going to need a 71 or better. That's a cutoff right now, but we have to imagine that that's going to move north. As we take a look at the run, you can see he got that first inside clip pretty decent. The second one, he was off a little bit shaky as he comes through in this last section of the course here, trying to link that big outside zone. Through the middle section, he did a pretty decent job. Right there, he has to get off the brake or get off the gas for a second. So we're hoping that he's going to get above a 71 because he's got that 63, and that's below the cutoff right now. So this is the final opportunity for him, as well as a lot of other drivers. We'll see if he's got enough to at least survive for the time being. As we're seeing the scores drop, what will it be?
All right, they are coming in, and Ryan, just unofficially, you're saying the cutoff is 71? That's right about 70, 71. So that will be modifying as we work our way through our second run, and unfortunately that will not pay off for Raz. So 63 and then bettered by a 66, but unofficially that will not be enough from our driver coming all the way from Granada Hills, California, Raz Naor, in that Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. So Dustin Miles, as you can see, is currently sitting 4th on the leaderboard. Dustin Miles from Cartersville, Georgia. ANX Electric Company, Nexen Tire, S13. And here comes Dustin Miles. Great looking car. Is he gonna try to better it? You know he is. Gets into the dirt. Now into outside zone. Man, this guy loving some landscaping right now. Call him the lawnmower. As Dustin Miles getting dusty.
Well, Jared, he's already got an 83, as you mentioned, so he's sitting pretty right now. Now it's about just trying to build on that and really give himself a lot of cushion, but he's not going to do it on this second run here. Had some problems in that final outside zone, which will probably not get it up to that 83, but you can see here as he drops that tire on that outside touch and go, trying to control the car. He's going to get into this final turn, and right there he's going to drop those two rears for just a second, and it doesn't seem like he's got the run in him here to better that 83, but it matters nonetheless. He's still got that 83 to hang on to and keeps him in the top 16.
All right, so the results are in. And unfortunately for Dustin Miles, that will be an incomplete run. But fortunately for him, he has an 83 on his first run, Ryan. So he sits in fourth on the leaderboard, which is a strong score given what we've seen. Wow, so there's a bevy. So straightening, going off course, reinitiation, so quite a few mistakes there from Dustin Miles. As next up, Rodolfo Martinez. Rodolfo Martinez from Texas. He's course, works it back into that touch and go. Big angle past that final front clip. See him tapping the brakes, working in, left foot braking. Braking on down to Martinezville, and past the finish line goes Rodolfo.
So Rodolfo's got about a 3-point cushion right now, at least in terms of what is currently the cutoff point. Trying to build on that. You can see a bit wide on that first inside clip, lacking the angle through that second inside clip, but like the way he uses all of the course here. A little bit shallow on that touch and go, as well as that final inside clip. Mid-high line here as he gets into this final sweeper. Good line being drawn here, but not filling that zone completely. So losing some points maybe on line and angle through the beginning of the course in the middle section. But he does have that 74, so we'll see what the judges think here. And if he can better that and add a few more points there of protection as we make our way through, with still a few incompletes out there that have to run their second run.
So Rodolfo Martinez with a 74, Ryan, as you said, a few points for cushion, but don't think this is going to be enough to better. And look at that, 73 on his second run. So as Rodolfo's first run will be the better of the two with a 74. All right, so Rodolfo Martinez puts his run in the book. And next up, Andrew Lewis. He's a St. Lunatic from right here in St. Louis, Missouri. And here comes Lewis. Early initiation there, gets into the rumble strip once again. It's not what the judges are looking for, Lewis. As you can see, it disrupts the car just a little bit, gets into the dirt. And Lewis, he does have an 80 on his first run, and he did get into the rumble strips on his first run. So unfortunately for, you know, like I said, Lewis did get into the rumble strips on his first run, and he did on his second as well. Ryan.
Well, you can see exactly what it does to the vehicle. It really just puts him off balance here, and as he transitions back down, he almost has to kind of reinitiate. So he's probably going to sit with that 80. It's got enough buffer there, I think, where he's not going to have a problem making into the top 16, but I don't think this is going to better that first run with the way that he started off there and kind of gave himself a tough time on the line and having to kind of reinitiate there on that second inside clip. But taking a look at it again here, you can see starts off and then gets right up on that rumble strip and is just not able to fluidly transition into that second inside clip. Drops a couple tires there on that touch and go. He's a bit off that inside clip, but we saw a strong run from him in run number 1, and we'll see what the judges say here in run number 2.
And that will be an incomplete run. So a big correction there. Yeah, so a big straightening there. A big straightening there between the first and second front clipping point, but fortunately for Lewis and 80, so trying to get some more points, ended up biting him. So here's a driver who has an incomplete on his first run, and now he needs to put down a score. Jonathan Hurst, coming to us from Paducah. Jonathan Hurst in the Dynasty Infinity G37. And here comes Mr. Hurst. Hurst initiates. Really tight to that front clip. That's where you want to see the car go. Not on that second one. That half car length off. Big angle from Hurst. Can he hold on to it? And he does. So Hurst, no risk it, no biscuit. Look at this. Nice job by Jonathan Hurst. Man, you think he would have kind of pedaled it around, just making sure that he gets a score, but really going for it. Really good placement on this first clip.
Well, remember, Jared, he got the incomplete at the final turn of that run number 1, and you can see here he had a solid run being composed from that first run, and on the second run he does basically the same thing here. He's just a little bit wide on that second inside clip, but very aggressively and at a very risky point of the track, goes very deep into that second outer zone, but links it nice and tight here to that final inside clip. So I have to imagine this is going to be a very solid score for him, possibly into the 80s. And this will certainly see him into the top 16, no doubt about it, after coming back from a scary situation there where he had that incomplete and had to perform.
Yeah, so from a 0 or an incomplete run, as it's known this year, to an 87. Nice job by Jonathan Hurst, as Jonathan Hurst receives an 87, puts himself into number 2 position. Right now, because we got quite a few drivers left to go, about 20 left to go. And let it be known, Patrick Held, unfortunately, he had some mechanical failure, so Patrick Held is here in the building. Sorry, but unfortunately, Patrick had some engine issues. You want to let that be known. So, Patrick Held, sorry, man. Sorry that you came all the way from Snohomish, Washington, but hopefully we see you at Texas Motor Speedway. All right, so next up, Jeff Donati. Jeff Donati had a 65 on his first run. He needs to put down a score to better that. As you take a look at the leaderboard, Donati, that baby blue. What say you, baby blue? Just barely kisses that rumble strip. A fairly safe entry into that sweeper. Not so much the speed, but as far as the line placement.
Yeah, big throttle there from Donati.
65 on his first run, Ryan.
65, he's going to want to build on that. Much better job on that first inside clip. You can see still guys are wide, not able to link those first 2 clips together. As he comes back around to that touch and go, you can see he feels there, just lifts that front left up there for a second on that inside clip. Middle line into the final sweeper here, staying on throttle and touching down into the final turn through that last inside clip on that mid line. Trying to do everything he can to build on that 74, give himself some cushion. 71 still the cutoff right now with Brody Goble. Let's see what he does here on run number 2.
Jeff Donati's score coming in. Got a 65 on his first run, and that bubble, Ryan, we talked about a 71. And Donati's score coming in a 71. So we'll have to see how everything pans out here for the remaining drivers, as well as the existing drivers that got better scores.
Yeah, and you know, for fans watching at home, the first set of tiebreakers is always the lower of the 2 scores, so that's plays a role there. And then we go deeper into the scores of the style and line, but usually it's broken by that second score, so
yep.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, so next up, Garrett Denton. Garrett Denton, Coral Works Next Tire S14. He had a 74 on his first run. Garrett. Kind of some very loose driving. You get almost violent from Denton. You can't even see the back half of the car from the door. Throwing it down, big angle there from Garrett. So 74 is his first score. Ryan, do you think that betters it?
Well, it's going to be, I think it's going to be in the ballpark for sure. It may better it because you can see big angle here. And though he's a little bit long, not so much wide on that first inside clip, he does a pretty good job here staying on throttle. You can see the car moving around just a little bit. And as he gets into this final zone, he's on that mid-high line and goes deeper here. And now he starts to arc out and bring it down into that final inside clip. So he's got that 74. You know, he'd love to get a 76, 77, really give himself some cushion there. Because we still have at least 2 incompletes and a lot of drivers that are below that 71-point threshold.
So Garrett Denton awaits his score from Hope Valley, Rhode Island. And he betters it by an 80. So an 80 for Garrett Denton and puts him into number 6 position. So quite a jump for Denton. A big confidence builder for him as he jumps up with a score of 80 on his second run. Next up, Ricky Adams. This Ricky Adams Racing RTS Achilles BMW E46 from Huntsville, Alabama. Whoa, throwing some dirt already, using all the course. A really wide swing, unfortunately, for Ricky Adams. He is sitting on an incomplete. And it looks like Ricky Adams will have another incomplete, unfortunately. Great looking car, but it is not a car show. Got to throw it down when push comes to shove. So unfortunately for Ricky Adams, as good as the car looks, it looks even better going sideways, hitting the clip. So that will be double goose eggs, incompletes for Ricky Adams. Unfortunately, he's going to be watching from the sidelines. See you in Texas, Ricky.
So tough break there for Ricky Adams. You can see a very aggressive flick and way past that first inside clip. Isn't really able to hold it together. He was keeping angle in the car there, but then shuts it down. And at that point, that's where the incomplete took place. So in a head-to-head matchup, that's where the run would have been shut down for sure. And we would have moved on, and we will do so the same in qualifying. So an incomplete for Ricky, unfortunately. As we move on to our next driver here, as the sun starts to set. About halfway through the second runs, or close to halfway through the second runs here.
All right, here we go with our next driver, Rob Carlson. Now remember, Carlson had a 0 on his first run. He goes for that very aggressive initiation again. Middle of the course as Carlson comes flying, and oh, Carlson. And that will unfortunately be double zeros. Again, double incomplete runs. So unfortunately for Carlson,
yeah, the aggression again, not paying off here for Carlson. This time the flick was way outside as opposed to inside last time, but right here he starts to lose angle in the vehicle. He transitions into that touch and go area, but then is not able to complete it. Has to pull out of the drift and goes off course, and it'll be an incomplete here. Watch as he comes through this touch and go area. You can see he's going to lose the bumper, drop those 2 tires there, and he's not able to connect that into that that third inside clip, and has to shut down the run and head off course.
next up, Hooman Rahimi. Hooman had a 77 on his first run, which, as you can see, that puts him into, so there's, You can see kind of a lot of these drivers tied up there. So definitely a lot of drivers still to run on their second run. Here comes Houman Rahimi. Throws into the first clip. Past that second. Gets all the way out. Can you get it back to the touch and go? Yes, he does. Really using all the course here from this Nashville, Tennessee driver. Rahimi. Nice job by Rahimi. This track really favoring Houman's style. As I said, Ryan, a 77 on his first run.
Yeah, so he's got himself a bit of a cushion here. You can see a little bit of a trouble on initiation there. He was trying to figure out what he wanted to do there, but it actually works out pretty well. He keeps it nice and fluid through that first and second inside clip. Out to that touch and go. Pretty good job on that third inside clip. Could have done better here. Could have entered a bit deeper on that last outside zone. So he's going to get some line points deducted. But overall, this is a pretty good run for Houman. We'll see if it does better. That 77. That's a nice score. And not sure if it's going to be better, but it should be definitely in the ballpark at least.
All right, Houman Rahimi with an 82. An 82 on his second run. Like I said, this track really favoring Houman's vehicle and his style. So Houman Rahimi with a solid score of 82. Next up, George Kirakopoulos with a 62 on his first run. He definitely needs to better that. Coming all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, originally Chicago. So George Kirakopoulos, Link ECU, modified performance, turbo by Garrett, Nissan 370Z. George K comes into that first clip, already sets himself off quite a bit here. George K. Now past that final front clip into that outer zone. George K gets into the dirt, almost sends it off, but salvages it. So George K with a 62 on his first run. Ryan, I just don't think that's enough, unfortunately, for George.
Well, he definitely did a much better job through the first section of the course. Remember, he pulled a lot of angle out of the car on that second inside clip. This time, he doesn't make that first or second inside clip super tight on line, but he didn't have that huge mistake. He just got messed up a little bit on the line, so we'll get some deductions there. Now, let's see what happens here, Jared. He kind of has to reinitiate a little bit, and it pushes him out wide. He gets that second tire right on the line, but he's able to salvage it and then pull through and get through the finish line while keeping angle in the vehicle. So, like you said, he's got that 62. He needs a 71 at least to be in fighting order, and then he's gonna want something higher than a 71, so that way he doesn't have to utilize the backup score as a tiebreaker. But let's see where it goes.
And George on this first score, 62. And I don't think it's enough, and it is not. So unfortunately, George K will be loading his car in the trailer. It'll just be showing off in the pits. So George K will be watching from the sidelines tomorrow. As we have 17, 18, 19 more drivers left. 19 more drivers left. Next up, from Becker, Minnesota, Coral Works Achilles Tire Nissan 350Z, Alec Robbins. Alec Robbins has a 56 on his first run. So the sun is slowly going down here. Here we go, Alec Robbins throws it in aggressively. Past that front clip, you see him just lift that front left corner on the rumble strip past the touch and go. Big angle from Robbins. Transitions back, really aggressive, snaps it back. See that front right, lock it up, using all the brakes to massage it out. And Robbins gaining some confidence after that first run. Again, a 56, definitely better than a 56, but is it enough, Ryan?
Well, Robbins needs this for sure, Jared. He's got to add at least 13 points to his total to get somewhere in order to make a case to move into the top 16. You can see the car banged up a little bit here. Nice angle in that transition into that final outside zone. Comes off a little bit early though. And is it going to be enough to move into that 70, mid-70 range? Here it is again. You can see just right there on that outside touch and go. Great job. Comes up a little bit short on that third and final inside clip. I like the transition there. He could have maybe put a little bit more angle, made it smoother, but overall, a great job in that section of the course. And there he goes. He comes up pretty good.
An 82 there for Robbins. Alec Robbins in the 82 puts him into number 7 position as far as the leaderboard goes.
Got it right.
And there's our Link ECU qualifying leaderboard. Sexsmith still at the top of the pile. Hurst, Yeager, Gautier, and Miles, top 5. Next up, Brandon Schmidt. Schmidt had a 0 on his first run, this Massed Motorsports. Achilles tire S13. Oh no, it looks like having some more issues once again. Great looking car, new livery here. Debuted for this event after Atlanta, but unfortunately, another case of no matter how good it looks, it just needs to run. So unfortunately, Brandon Schmidt, that will be double incomplete runs for Mr. Schmidt.
Well, here it is, Jared. Let's take a look and see if we can find out what happens here. He gets a nice snappy initiation, and then right there you can see the car is not able to maintain drift. He realizes that it was a mistake that could not be overcome and shuts it down and does not finish the run. You can tell his disappointment here as he passes in front of the judging tower and spotters tower, but it's going to have to wait one more round as his second run has expired.
Yeah, Ryan, unofficially there, I saw you take note. Looks like 72 is the cutoff. We have 3 drivers tied for 15th. So 18th is right below that 72. So a 72, you got a better. If you really want to lock it in, just get a 73, but or not even lock it in, because we still have quite a few drivers left. About 17 drivers left to go, as Brody Goble is our next driver. Brody Goble in the Frankenstein Speed and Custom Achilles Radial S14.75 from Vancouver, BC. And it looks like insult to injury here, Brandon Schmidt will be needing a toe off. All right, so it looks like Schmidt. All right, so tomorrow is Pro 2 head-to-head. We have top 16 as well as Pro qualifying. So round 6 of the Formula J Black Magic Pro Championship. We have what we've deemed the Crossroads here at Gateway Motorsports Park. So the sun is setting. This should play an interesting role here in how these drivers are going to be seeing this track and navigating it. As we are, looks like, getting Brandon Schmidt off course. And our next driver, again, will be Brody Goble. Still to go, Goble and Phillippi. He has a 61 on his first run. We got Troy Manners, he had a 66. David Mesker with a 59. Kendrick Meyer with 72. Remember Kelsey Rawlings, she went off course. Andy Haley with a 69. Riley Sexsmith still strong with that 88. Literal 77. Travis Reeder, who is currently third. He got a podium in Atlanta. He is currently with 72. Dylan Hughes could better it with a 70. He currently has 78. And then Ola Yeager, our points leader, with an 85 coming into this round. All right, Brody Goble. 17 drivers left to go, including Brody Goble. The sun is setting, the darkness is here. Brody Goble, big angle there, getting a little out of focus, but Brody Goble stays focused. Past the touch and go. Yeah, Goble. And through the sweeper goes Goble. Goble had a 71 on his first run. Ryan, I got to say that very well might be a 71.
Yeah, he needs this score right here desperately. At least a 73. Great job on that first inside clip, wide on that second. Gets out to that touch and go. Pretty good job there. Great job right there on that final inside clip. As he transitions, though, he goes up on the bumpers, and it causes him to enter that last inside zone a little bit tight. He's able to stay midline there and draw a nice smooth arc, but he could have been deeper into that zone as he entered, and we'll see how that affects his overall score. I do think that it is going to be better than the 71, but not sure how high it's going to go.
And he does with a 79. Brody Goble with a 79 from Vancouver, BC. Next up, Crick Phillippi with a 61. Fitzgerald Glider Kites, next in tire, S13. Crick, again, with a 61 on his first run. As Crick ready to send it. And he leaves the start line. Here we go. And here comes Crick, entering that first front clip. Transitions into the second. Keeping it off the rumble strips. Into the touch and go. This twin turbo LS. Ooh, punts. That first initiation of where that outside zone begins as Phillippi brings it through the finish.
That was the best outside zone punting we've seen so far. It was a straight line right to the wall. Let's take a look at this here. He's got that 61, so that's not going to cut it. Pretty decent job on that first inside clip, though he could have been tighter. So the line a little bit off there, but good angle. You can see he's pretty smooth here. He's really off and on the throttle a lot if you were listening to the vehicle, but right there, he's going to get into that outside zone pretty deep. Has to make a slight adjustment here. You can see angle in the car pretty consistent to that final inside clip. So it's probably definitely going to be better than a 61, but is it going to be in that 75 range, which is what you're going to need now by the time we get said and done in order to stay into the top 16. And we still have at least 2 drivers that have incomplete runs that could very easily pop right up and really change the overall structure of the top 16.
So 61 on his first run, and on his second run, a 77. A 77 puts him into 13th position. And Ryan, as you said, we still have some low scores here. David Mesker, Kelsey Rawlings, as well as Andy Haley. So, you know, Crick potentially, you know, not 100%. Troy Manners, Squirt, as well as Trenton Beecham. So Trenton Beecham, he forewent his first run, but right now it is Adam Knappich. Knappich Racing, Achilles Tire, S14, Westminster, California. All right, Knappich initiates in that supercharged, Edelbrock supercharged LS. Now brings it past the judging tower. Very smooth. You see him drop down the RPMs. Oh, and Knappich, unfortunately for him, he goes off course, but he does have a 79 on his first score. 74, excuse me. A 74. So Ryan, we talked about that bubble. That will be an incomplete. So 74 on his first run.
Well, let's see what happens here with Knappich. You have to imagine that the temperature dropping is affecting the overall course, and the setups of the vehicles will probably play a role here. Knappich, as he leaves that inside clip, shoots out wide, and that just gets that left rear off, and then that second rear, and he's not able to keep the vehicle on course. So it is coming in as an incomplete, as you suspected, Jared. And so he will have to hold on to that 74, which is right there.
Oof.
So, but having the incomplete on the second run is not helping him, because it's not anything that he can compare it to if there is a tie at 74 right at 16.
Good point. Good point. So there it is, Adam Knappich with a incomplete. So he sits in that 16th position, and now he needs to wait in the wings to see if Andy Haley, Kelsey Rawlings, Troy Manners, and we are hearing that unfortunately Trenton Beecham, who he had some engine issues earlier, broke his drive shaft, threw the clutch out, so now he is a scratch on not only his first but also his second run. He is to be going after Sebastian Gauthier, who had an 85 on his first run. That's definitely going to see him in the top 16, but knowing him, he's going to have his way with the course and just get more familiar with it here. So you can see Gauthier tied there for fourth. Tied there for third, excuse me. So yeah, wants to better it. Gauthier right in the line, just very smooth. Look at the car, very settled, and just, you know, it being bright high-vis orange, it really stands out against this green grass. So you see just how smooth he really is.
Well, this is really just trying to see if he can get to that #1 qualification spot. Is this an 88? Not sure. You can see he was a bit off that second inside clip. Great transition there. He gets the car right to angle, holds it, makes a little bit of a mistake there on that final inside clip, but you can see he's not afraid to go deep into that final outer zone. Very risky area there, and he's able to throttle through it, draw a nice smooth line, and you can see great angle even through the finish line there by Gauthier. So impressive with that 85 on run #1. We'll see where he comes in on run #2, but nonetheless, he's going to be in our top 5 for sure.
Well, he's currently tied for third with Ula Jaeger. He has an 85. So as you said, Ryan, it comes down to the second score, or basically, you know, the first score and the second score, and the results are in a 75 on his second run. So 85 and a 75 for Sebastian Gauthier. So he currently is, again, tied for third. He takes the third position, pending on where Ula Jaeger goes on his second run. So here we are back to Troy Manners, Neo Motorsports S14.5, Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And Troy Manners, he is below that cutoff line. He has a 66. This is do or die for Squirt, aka Troy Manners. And Squirt shreds that back bumper off, cuts some weight, gets into that outer zone. You can see him tapping the brakes, but riding the line, just barely kissing the brakes, and crosses the finish line. Ryan, definitely better than a 66, but how much better?
Well, let's take a look at it again as Manners wraps around that final turn, heading back. And now he's just waiting on the score, gets a nice initiation there. A little bit long on that first inside clip, kind of off that second. Now as he gets through the power alley here, he's going to drop that bumper in the touch and go. He kind of loses some angle there in the front wheels, but he's able to pull out of it. And right here, he's kind of driving with very minimal angle, very quick and a lot of throttle, but wasn't drawing the smoothest arc there. Would like to see him get to angle, hold it there. Let's take a look at this as he leaves his bumper right there through the power alley. And again, he's got to probably have a 74 at this point to be safe. Waiting for one score to drop, it looks like. We'll see if this gets him in.
So a 66 on his first run. And we're talking about unofficially a 74 being the Cutoff. As I said, I truly thought it was better than a 66, and it is a 72, but that is still below the cutoff, unfortunately, for Troy Manners. You know, a lot of talent here showing up here in Pro 2. Ryan, you talked about just how much talent is here. You know, a lot of the drivers going for Pro Championship license, and like to see them in Pro next year. So the caliber of driving has grown tremendously over the years. Here we go with our next driver coming all the way from Perth, Australia. This is Josh Robinson, Winding Road Racing. Next in tires, Holden Ute. The Robot Kangaroo on the side, ready to punch out the competition. Josh Robinson at a 79 on his first run. A little shaky there out of the gate, and as well as that second clipping point. Now time. See the Holden Ute. Pretty loose setup. The attitude of the car, you can see. That thing a boat. He might have taken that Commodore Holden Ute over the ocean to get here. That thing is a big boat of a vehicle.
Well, you can see not afraid to throw it in and go big and keep the throttle on very heavy here, but having a little bit of trouble with kind of the fluidity and the line at certain sections of the course. Here he does a great job on that inside clip, but right here he gets into this outside zone a bit early and down from where he wants to be, and he's not able to fill that zone completely, but he does have that 79, Jared, so he's sitting pretty right now. He's got enough to get himself into the top 16. Waiting for one score to drop here to see if he can better that 79. I don't know if that is going to cut it, but nonetheless, Josh Robinson finishes up his 2 runs for the afternoon.
And Ryan, seeing him come in, it doesn't look like it is going to be enough. The 79 will have to be the better of the 2. As you can see, sits in 10th with a 78 on his second run. As Crocodile Dundee here, Josh Robinson from Perth, Australia. We are now into the top 9. David Mesker, he has a 59. BC Racing Achilles tire S13. He is from St. Louis, Missouri. Running that Cardinal Red S13. Lights are on the vehicles. As again, we are in the top 10. This is do or die for Mesker. Looks a lot more comfortable here on his second run. Whoa, just as I say that, you can hear him lift and correct. As Mesker brings it across the finish line and gets into the dirt that was after the finish line. But Ryan, let's look at it again.
Well, really close to potentially not being scored here. You can see aggressive initiation through that first inside clip. Great job there on that second one. His front wheels are really moving around a lot here. And then right there, he kind of loses angle as he leaves the touch and go and heads towards that final inside clip. So not sure if the judges think that that was just a mistake too much. But it does look like they are going to go with the incomplete, and that is unfortunate because he does have a 59 on run number 1, so he is going to be out of tomorrow's competition.
All right, Kenrick Meyer, a 72 on his first run. That is not enough. So Kenrick in this BMW E36, LS power under the hood. Let's see if the night moves gets him going. As Kenrick, oh, buddy, a big correction there from Kenrick. Now it seems like he found the go fast pedal. And Ryan, unfortunately for Kenrick, watch this again here.
Well, he's got that 72 as well, Jared, as you mentioned. So you can see slow roll initiation, but decent job on that first and second inside clip. Could have been maybe a tiny bit tighter, but he made it look smooth there through that section. Now here's the touch and go area. Starts to slow up a little bit, and he loses angle there through that first inside clip. Now, if that angle was lost and at the 0 axis for a pretty good period of time, I think the judges may go with an incomplete on that. But we'll have to see exactly what they say. That was a pretty aggressive mistake right there before that final inside clip.
And it is an incomplete run for Kendrick Meyer. So him now in 18th position. That will be a no-go for Kendrick Meyer and his BMW for the weekend. Next up, Kelsey Rawlings. She had an incomplete run. If you can recall, she went off into that final sweeping turn. As Kelsey Rawlings will be on her second run here. Again, an incomplete run on her first run. This is do or die for Rawlings. She goes off course and unfortunately hits the rumble strip. She'll attempt to continue the rest of the run. And Kelsey Rawlings, unfortunately, goes off course quite a bit. And Ryan, you have to assume that will be an incomplete run.
Yeah, I think that is definitely suitable enough for an incomplete. You can see as she comes through this second inside clip, she rolls over that section of the course, straightens out, and then drops that left rear off the course. She continues to drift here, and you have to definitely applaud that and the veracity overall from Kelsey Rawlings. But unfortunately, it's going to be an incomplete here on run number 2.
Well, the sun is set. The lights are not coming on. That's why the vehicles need to have headlights. And as we have 6 drivers remaining, Andy Haley, Riley Sexsmith, Ryan Littrell, Travis Reeder, Dylan Hughes, and Ola Yeager. And as far as drivers that need better scores, next up Andy Haley, as well as Travis Reeder, who has a 72. All the remaining drivers have 77 or better. Here we go. Andy Haley wraps it around that first front clip. Into the second. Through that midsection. Past that touch and go flip. In this last outer zone. And works it all the way through. Andy Haley, as I said, had a 69 on his first run.
Well, he needs this here. That 69 is not going to cut it. Good angle here through that first inside clip. Bit of a tough time on that transition. Goes wide on that second. Now through that touch and go area, drops a tire, but he makes it look clean and smooth here. And look at this. He enters really at a risky part of the course, stays deep into this zone. Just a couple little adjustments with those front wheels, but I definitely think this is going to be better than the 69. And will it be enough for Andy Haley? Great job controlling the vehicle as he drops some tires there in that touch and go area. Beautiful through that inside clip. And then right here, this is what he needed to do. He needed to risk getting into that zone early and staying there and wait for the final score to drop. Can he get into the 70s? He really needs it here in order to move on.
All right, so we'll see how he fares. And a 76. It puts him into 15th position. Puts him into 15th position unofficially. So he's right there on that cusp, because right now, again, all the remaining drivers have 88, 77. So everybody's got a better score than that, other than Travis Reeder, who is 2 drivers away. Again, right now, Riley Sexsmith with that 88 still on top of the heap with that NV Auto 2JZ BRZ. So Sexsmith feeling confident, feeling comfortable, having his way with this course. Punts that touch and go. Now gets out to the outer zone. Looks like Sexsmith. And keeps it between the lines. Don't think that will better an 88.
No, and you can definitely tell the course is changing here as the sun has gone away. It looks like it's a little bit slicker. And Sexsmith goes very long into that first inside clip. Drops his bumper and a tire there, the right rear. And then right here, you can see he did not have the momentum to fill that final outside zone. he basically doesn't give up, but he stays on a very low line there through the main section of that bank. Here it is. He's going to drop that right rear tire, and goes the bumper. But he is our current leader, Jared, as you said, with that 88, only followed by Hurst, who has the 87. And then we've got a couple guys tied at 85, Gautier and Jaeger. So Sexsmith is in a good position. So is Literal, who's up next. It's really about Travis Reeder at 72.
So there's a 70 for Sexsmith on his second run, and we knew that was going to come, but an 88 for Sexsmith on his first run. So here we go, moving on to our next driver. This is Ryan Literal. Ryan Literal has a 77 on his first run. And here comes Ryan Literal in that Cora Works Nissan 350Z. He has a 77 on his first run. Into the touch and go. Big angle there from Literal. Putting the car in the right place. Really like the placement of Ryan Literal. You can see it glowing underneath. Yeah. Hammered down on that V8Z.
Nice orange glow from Ryan Literal there. You can see he was really burning up the tires down that front straight. Initiates tight on that inside clip. Kind of messed up a little bit on the angle there. You want to see him be smooth and fluid on that transition. But right here, he's able to get nice and tight on that final inside clip. He enters at a good place into this outside zone, and he keeps the angle nice and tight here. You can see the close-up there, that burning orange yellow from underneath his vehicle. Real beautiful at this time of the evening as we're down to our final three drivers. And this next driver up is really going to need it. So this one for Literal is really just about trying to add to his overall score, Jared. He's got that 77. He's in a decent position here. He's trying to move up into the top 10 if he can get an 80 or higher. And we'll see if he does it.
So 77 on his first run, and on his second run, an 81. An 81 for Literal puts him into 8th position. As you said, Ryan moves him up into the top 10 position. So that's a favorable position to be in for Ryan Literal. Ryan, our next driver, is the last driver that needs to better his score. He has a 72. He comes into this round of competition sitting in 3rd. He had a podium spot in Atlanta. He's one to watch. He was a contender for last year's championship, and right now he's sitting on a 72. He is sitting outside looking in. Can he get a score to get within the top 16? Right now, a 75 would solidify him to be in the top 16. Reeder comes in, past the front clip. He is flying into the outside zone. Ryan, you said the elements are changing, the temperatures are dropping, but Reeder keeps it consistent. A 75 would solidify him into the top 16, as we have a few drivers already tied with 74s.
Well, that was really dealing well with the pressure here. Travis Reeder really not making a lot of mistakes on line. Comes through that first and second inside clip with smooth, angled, well, nice job on the transitions. He stays tight. Again, very smooth here from the touch and go to that inside clip. He enters mid-high and then stays nice and consistent on the line. I think this is easily going to be a minimum score for him to get into the top 16, and it might be one of the top that we've seen. So Reeder did not buckle under the pressure. He did a great job here overall, and he came through on his final run here where he was going to be potentially knocked out of competition.
Yeah, from just talk about rising to the occasion, the pressure, as you said, Ryan, and this could be in contention for one of the top scores. An 88 is the top score, but a 75 would solidify him into the top 16, and he does. He gets a 78. A 78 puts him into number 13 position, so he will be seeing head-to-head competition. The remaining drivers have scores that are of caliber, a 78 from that of Dylan Hughes, and Ulla Jaeger with an 85. So 2 remaining drivers, and both of the drivers already have good scores. So there you see Dylan Hughes sitting in 14th. And here comes the dozer. Advanced Auto Parts, Next and Tire, NOS Energy Drink, S13. Dylan Hughes. Past that final front clip into that outer zone. And Hughes, you can see, riding the brake as the 78 on his first run will try to be bettered, Ryan.
Well, trying to break into the 80s would certainly get you in the top 10. You can see he does a pretty good job here on that first inside clip, just going up on the railing there a little bit there, kind of tiny bit wide on that second inside clip. Made a little bit of a mistake there as he gets into that third inside clip on going up right there on the bumpers as well. But overall, you can see as he enters this final section, he kind of locks into a nice line here, draws a smooth arc. And then right there, a little bit of left foot breaking through the finish line to finish it up. He had that 78. He's already in good position. Now it's about building on it. Can he add a few points here? If I remember his first run, I think it was maybe a little bit better on his second run. So we'll see where he slots in.
An 80, so he betters it considerably. An 80 on his second run for Dylan Hughes, and puts him into 9th position. One more final driver here for Formula Drift Pro 2 qualifying here at the Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship, the Crossroads. Tomorrow we have Pro qualifying and then Pro 2 head-to-head, and then game day. We see round 6, the Crossroads here at Gateway Motorsports Park. Ola Jaeger comes in leading the pack after his victory in Atlanta. He's already sitting on an 85. Ola Jaeger from Norway comes in flying in that Japan Auto. Next entire Toyota Supra. Dances in the dark. He's got some night moves. Holding it down, Ola Jaeger from Fredrikstad, Norway.
Well, really, he's only shooting for this #1 spot because he's got an 85. He's already in the top 5. He's looking to try to break the tie with Gautier, so he would need better than a 75 to break that tie. So if he can get above a 75 here on run number 2, that would move him up at least 1 position to break the tie from Gautier. So I think that that's probably going to work for him.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as good as the 85, but overall, looks like he came through pretty clutch here. We're waiting for the line judge to drop, and that's going to be the difference if he can get above a 75.
And here are the live streams for tomorrow and Saturday, 11:30 a.m. local time, pro qualifying. So that's the pro drivers, then Pro 2 head-to-head, top 16, national anthem, opening ceremonies at 5:15, and then Saturday, game day, pro top 32, the AM halftime show hosted by the Maximum Driftcast fellas of Corey Hosford, Sam Nalvin, and Paco Ibarra, and then 5 p.m. Pro top 16 to round out who gets on the podium here at Gateway Motorsports Park. So those are our times, and here is our final score for Ola Jaeger from Fredrikstad, Norway. Norway, you listening? 78 puts him in the top 3. That is a 78 on his second score, and 85 is the better of the 2, but he does better that of Sebastian Gautier. On behalf of all our team here at Formula Drift, Ryan Sage, and all our judges, thank you so much for joining us here at round 2 of the Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. We are in the shadow of the St. Louis Arch, the gateway to the west. Thanks so much for joining us out here. We'll see you tomorrow. Send it. We'll see you online, or we'll see you another time.